My name is Rick Rangitis. I'm the CEO of the San Marcos Chamber. Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor in our virtual world. So it's like a giant Hollywood Squares board. So it's I think we're all kind of getting used to this now, but we're also chomping at the bit to start getting things back to the way we need it to be. So I appreciate Mayor Jones coming on today. Um, just a couple other things too. Sometimes the best way to do things like this is to put it in speaker view, and then also which I'm going to switch over to in a second, and then Mayor Jones is going to have a few words to say, and then we're going to have a Q&A. So I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. Whenever we've done things like this with Mayor Jones in the past, it's always been some great dialogue. So if you do have a question, put it in the chat, and then when we get to that point, I can unmute you, and then you can ask the question for Mayor Jones. So at this point, I'd like to introduce the Mayor of San Marcos, Rebecca Jones.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's so great to see faces without masks on them. All of your beautiful smiles. Boy, this has been probably the most challenging time in my lifetime. I'm having my birthday this week, so I'm going to be 53. I've never seen anything like this, and I'm sure that all of you are feeling the same way. I think one of the interesting things is learning our flexibility, and Rick and I were just talking about this a minute ago. I think there are a lot of things that will come out of this that end up being positive things, and I'm always the optimistic one. So I think looking forward as to what's going to happen with COVID-19, I think we've learned a lot, and I think we're going to take that innovation moving forward, figuring out how to better serve our citizens here in the city. But we have done some extraordinary things, I think, in San Marcos, starting out with our business sustainability program. And I really think that was an answer to the call, and I'm so grateful for our staff. And Tess does not like when I give her credit, but she really deserves it. She really dug in and figured out something that we would be able to do that could truly help our businesses. Because as you look around and you see how many people are struggling, I think it's very notable as to what we've done. And so other cities have been calling me up, and I know that they reached out to Tess as well. But the business sustainability program was one of the things that we came out with first. I think we were the first city. If not, we were right behind San Diego, but of 1.3 million residents, and San Diego offered 6.1 million, and us in San Marcos, 100,000 residents, and us offering $3 million to set aside to help our businesses. I think that's pretty significant. And that shows our commitment to you, our business community. And not only our business community, but honestly our citizens and our residents, because when our businesses are thriving, we're able to offer the services and all of the things that are happening. And I don't know if any of you saw this, but we were talking about it, but there's so much more information out there that's kind of overshadowed it. I don't want it to be lost. And that is we were named the 25th safest city in the entire state of California. And with almost 500 entities, whether they're cities or towns, that's quite notable because we've really done a lot as far as law enforcement goes. Many of you have probably heard me say in the last 5 years, our crime rate has gone down 40%. And truly in this time, I think it's very notable because things are changing. And, you know, if you look at the evolution of all of the things that are happening in our communities, people are fearful. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in our communities. And really, people say, when are we going to open our businesses back up? So let me talk a little bit about that. So the governor has the ultimate authority, and then he said that he would be giving greater authority to the counties, and that would be the county health officer is the advice and the recommendations and the health orders that we follow. And so when the governor said that, we were all thinking, oh, great. We don't have to be treated like Los Angeles. We can be innovative in our own way and move forward to opening up our businesses in a safe manner. And there have been so many things that have been said out in the media, and truly on social media that are completely not true. So let me explain a little bit more. So when the governor said, yes, we will be moving forward to greater control throughout the counties, more of a regional approach, we were quite excited, thinking, great, we can move to take our small businesses that are retail and treat them exactly the same as what was deemed our essential businesses like Walmart and Target and Costco. Great, we can move forward and start opening up our businesses in a meaningful way. And then it was these unattainable, unachievable goals, in my opinion. You can disagree with me. And guess what? I'm not going to be angry with you. I know that's rare right now. There's so much anger out there, but truly, I think that if you were able to take a large business like Target, Walmart, and Costco and apply these safety measures that our county health officer has set forth, why can't our small businesses do that? And that is one of the things that I've really been talking about a lot. It hurts that we've got small businesses in our community that are willing and able and clamoring to actually follow those same safety protocols. But yet now there is this curbside pickup, which is the phase two. The curbside pickup, it talks about furniture stores and all of our regular retail, but there was one thing, oh, it was antique stores. I'm sorry. The unfair burden that is placed on our small businesses, in my opinion, is just not helpful. How is anyone going to take a picture of every single item inside their antique store and allow folks to look at those when those are things that people want to touch and see? And then you can drive over to Walmart. You can't buy an antique, but you can touch and feel everything. And I had heard the example. I think it might have been Supervisor Desmond that had first said this. You want to buy a bike for your child's birthday. Should you go to Walmart, or do you want to support a local business? Well, guess what? Your local business now has to figure out how to show you what their inventory is, and then you have to curbside pick it up. And in my opinion, it is not equitable. So that is one of the things that I am very challenging in what I'm talking about, and bringing attention to it. And Rick, I want to commend you sending out the email and giving all of the addresses for folks to reach out to the decision makers, whether it be the county or also the governor. I think that's really important. And as business leaders and people within the community, I think it's really important that we continue to express our concerns, because San Diego is different, in my opinion, than Los Angeles. And so we've got innovative minds. We have people that are willing to follow these safety protocols to bring our businesses back. And let's face it, we cannot be in this holding pattern forever. We've got to start moving forward, baby steps, of course, in a safe manner, but it has to happen. And there are so many things that a lot of people also are not thinking about. And then I'll open it up for questions, because I don't want to talk too long about this. But I want us to get back. I want us to get back to normal. I know that's not going to happen overnight. And I know that a lot of the mental issues that are happening from this too are very concerning. There's a study that was completed last Friday, and I'll send it out to you, Rick. If the members want it, you could send it out to them as well. But it's looking at all of the things that are happening with more drinking, with abuse, with hopelessness. And they're saying that anywhere between 70 and 150,000 deaths from deaths of despair. That's a staggering number. And we really have to figure out and work together to find safe ways to move forward. But we also have to make sure that we help the people that are terrified that they are going to perish from COVID-19, which the numbers out there. I implore all of you to watch those on a fairly regular basis. The more testing that we have done, the more cases that we will have. That is absolutely true. However, many of those people are no longer, now that the testing has changed, and it is moving more to testing everyone. And there is a link that I can also send you, Rick, and that is for free testing by the county. And then also the blood bank is offering testing, and I don't know. My apologies. I forgot to double check and see if it was free or not. But through the San Diego Blood Bank, you can get antibody testing that is supposed to be 99% accurate. So as we move forward in a manner with more testing, we will have a higher amount of cases. However, the number that, if you look at the number, it looks like it keeps climbing, which it does but it's more of a steady, not a bell curve that's going up. It's more of a plateau. And what that shows is it doesn't show that all of the people that are now no longer with COVID-19, the people that have actually come out of it and have recovered. And so unfortunately, those numbers are not tracked as readily and easily. And so when you look at the number, it looks like a very big number. It's over 4,000. However, that number is actually less because many have gone through the 14-day period where you might have some symptoms. And mind you, a lot of people have very small symptoms. However, we do still have deaths. And all but 6 of those, I believe, within the county have had health issues, underlying health issues. And really our vulnerable population of our elderly and our folks that have underlying health issues is truly where those deaths are occurring. So there's a lot of data out there. There's a lot of science out there. But as long as my philosophy is, if we can be safe in Walmart and Costco and Target, we can be safe within our small businesses. So there was something else I was going to say, and now I lost my train of thought when I start talking about the testing. It'll probably come to me. Oh, I know what it was. I was going to touch on the fact that everything that happens within the business community and people not being able to work, it affects the property taxes and then also the sales taxes. The effect that many people are not actually keeping in mind too is that in turn affects the city and our ability to pay for our services. And all of the cities are truly going to be hurting at some point in time if we don't get people back to work. And I have to say, I was very concerned because I had a friend of mine was telling me he worked for Uber. He was making about $500 a month, and now he's making $3,000. And he said to me, Rebecca, why would I ever go back to work? And I said, well, because you want a sense of purpose. Because I think that's, one of the, and I know that's very controversial to bring up. However, it is truth and it is reality. And I'm all about the facts. If I don't know something, I will go and I will actually get the answer. But it's truth and reality. And so there is some discussion about that. I have a friend in Orange County that has a finished carpentry business. They were able to secure the PPE loans, and then they had a difficult time getting some people to come back to work. And it was all because they would be making less money than they are on unemployment. And so that is a concern that I'm sure some of you have experienced or are looking at. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. So anyway, I think again, back to, I wanted to add one more thing. All of the cities are going to be hurting due to the revenue that is not going to be coming in. So just wanted to bring that up, and then I can open up for questions.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Jones. Before we get into questions, one thing I do want to mention, we sent out an email yesterday about requesting to send a letter to the governor's office, and there were so many emails being sent, and this is something that we collaborated with all the North County chambers, and there were so many emails being sent, some of them didn't go through to the governor's office. So if you got a bounce back, send me an email, because I've got another email address. I got another one last night, so I can send that to you. So just shoot me an email and I'll send that over to you. So so with that, let's do some questions. Let me check here. We've got, I think I can, it's a little tricky for me, so bear with me because I'm going to try to find you. I know Janet has a question, so let me find Janet so I can unmute her.
And by the way, Rick, we have lots of grace for you because we're all learning here.
Thank you. Um, okay, there I go. Janet, you should be unmuted now. So if you have a question for the mayor.
Yes, excuse me. Thank you very much for hosting today. Do you have any heads up as to when things can reopen as far as different types of businesses?
Okay, so no, I do not have a heads up. I do know that the supervisors are looking and discussing and continuing efforts to have more greater control here in the county. And I had mentioned that a little bit earlier. I've been advocating for that. I do know that they are having a closed session this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So that's why it's important to get those letters out if possible, because they need to hear from us, right? They need to hear the stories. And I actually was talking to Craig Garcia the other day, and I said to him, Old California Coffee, if you're here, Craig, I can't see everyone. I told him, I said, you know, you need to tell your true story. I think you should put that in an email, because this is what, you know, it's easy to look at businesses, oh, their business is being affected. But truly, when you share your personal story, I think that makes an impact, because I know for me, when I see a form email, I look at it and I go, oh, okay. And by the way, Rick, I sent another email off of yours. I think I mentioned that. I took it and I personalized it, because I think these personal stories are extremely important. How does COVID-19 affect your family, having your business closed? And what have you done that you know, what are you willing to do as a business to come back and have these safety protocols that best fit your business? I think those are things that are very important. But I do not have a time frame. I do hope, however, we are able to gain control from the governor. I hope he changes his mind. One of the things that he was talking about is having an extremely low, in my opinion, unattainable, unachievable count of cases, of new cases, and then also 0 deaths for 14 days. I don't know any disease or any virus or anything that has 0 deaths. And I'm not saying I'm advocating for death, because obviously, if you happen to know me, I'm highly compassionate and these things really upset me. However, there are 2 sides to it. And again, I spoke a little bit earlier about the mental health issues that are stemming from this. You know, our kids are not going to school, and so therefore they are not having the ability to have a touch point for child abuse alone. And just to give one example of that. So I think it's really important that we continue to advocate for us to have greater control within the county. And then again, go to the county website, follow those guidelines, make your plan of what you will be doing to open back up with your safety protocols. Get that put on your front door, post it, and be ready. That is probably the most important thing that I can tell you to do right now today, to be ready so that when you get the green light, you can open back up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Janet. I've got another question from, this is from Will Rivera. He put this in chat. He doesn't have a mic, so I'm going to read the question. Is there going to be law enforcement patrolling businesses to ensure compliance with safety protocols? What are penalties if businesses are not following? Worries businesses may be penalized for not following.
So the sheriff has the enforcement capability. And you know what? I think that we're adults here. I really do. I think that business owners are adults. You know, we were having this conversation last night at our council meeting. I'm not opposed to I'm opposed to the city having more rules and regulation on top of what the health order says, as far as penalties and all of that. The truth of the matter is, if you're not following your business license, there will be penalties to that, right? And if you are not following the law, there are penalties for that. I would hope that our businesses are going to take this very seriously. And from every discussion that I've had And as you can imagine, I've talked to a lot of you. I've talked to a lot of people that are not members of the chamber. I do try to get them to join. But I think that right now it is important for us to be adults, take this seriously, and I believe that our businesses should refuse service to anyone, as they have always been able to do. If people are coming in and they are not respecting your rules, then you should have them leave. And if you can't get them to leave, absolutely you need to call the sheriff's department and they need to come out. I am uncomfortable with thinking that our sheriff deputies, which, you know, we don't really have the resources, and now, you know, to have them go around and drive around and try to find people breaking the law. I don't feel comfortable with that. I do believe that businesses will be controlled by us, the people that are frequenting them, by the residents calling in, and I also hope and believe that our the employees will not go to work if they are not feeling safe. And I've told that to so many people. I said, if you do not feel safe going back to work, you shouldn't do it. You should not do it. You should absolutely be safe. We don't want people to be feeling forced to go back to work. We need to bring them along, as I had mentioned a little bit earlier. So yes, there will be enforcement. There is already a mechanism for enforcement. I'm uncomfortable creating another layer of city rules and regulation that will hurt you in any way, shape, or form. I think you will all do the right thing. If you don't do the right thing, there is a mechanism, and that is our sheriff's department. And I hope that you take it very seriously to keep both your employees and your the people that are frequently your business very healthy, because that's what we have to be in this together. We have to keep one another safe. And you know, I said to my daughter one day, she was going to go for a drive, and I said, now listen, make sure you are taking my health as seriously as I take your health. And don't go out and be around people that are, you know, practicing unsafe hygiene or not wearing a mask in the restaurant, going to pick up, as she was going to pick up food. I said, be smart, take my health as seriously as yours. And I think that is one of the things that we need to, as a community, make sure that we're telling everyone. So I hope that answered the question, but those are my feelings about that.
Okay, thank you. If anybody else has a question, if you have video, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Otherwise, just put something in the chat room that says I have a question, and I'll bounce between screens here and make sure I can see everybody. I appreciate everybody coming out today. This is a great group, and it's great seeing all the faces and all our chamber members. It's a great opportunity. Okay, Lisa has a question.
Am I
Okay,
unmuted?
there you go.
All right. Thank you so much for hosting. This is great. I don't have a question, but just a comment. I work for Vallecillos Water District, and we're just trying to get the message out to the businesses that when they reopen, they need to flush their water lines, because that water has been sitting in there for, you know, how many weeks, and Legionnaires is a concern. It happens when you have the bacteria that, you know, the chlorine residual, it drops off in the water after a certain amount of time, and that bacteria can build up. And I mean, that would just be horrible if we had, you know, we have COVID and now we have Legionnaires going on. That would just be really bad. So we've put some information on the chamber website, and if, you know, your chamber members want to go there to get the information, it links back to CDC and some other resources on how to flush your lines and things like that.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
send that over to us also. I'm sure you may have already spoken to our staff, but I think that would be an important thing as we start to open businesses back up and they can have customers in their businesses to let them know about that, because yes, we do not want any other unintended consequences or issues stemming from you know, our businesses being shut down. So I would totally push
Sure.
that out myself too.
Okay, I will contact your PR. So thank you.
And Lisa, I know it's on our website, but can you resend it to me again? I'll make sure I get it in our newsletter when it goes out on
Sure,
Monday.
that'd be great. Thank
you.
you so much.
Okay, other questions for the mayor?
Oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. I remember, sorry. Last night, we also voted to extend our moratorium on evictions. So it was due to end on May 31st, but we've extended it through June 30th. And you know, there's been a lot of discussion about this, and let me just tell you my thoughts about this also. So we have the person that owns the property, and then we have the person that's leasing the property. Unfortunately, we are at a situation where the owners of the property also have the banks, and this is something not everyone thinks about. Yes, we absolutely need to help people from not becoming evicted. However, there is also an unintended consequence, because I know folks that actually own property, whether it even just be one house that you ended up moving to another house and you have that leased out, they still have to pay the property taxes, and guess what? They still have to pay the bank. And so and banks are not, they're starting to work on adding those missed payments to the end of mortgages, but you have to reach out to them. So if you happen to be a property owner, please make sure that you know that that's happening. There are opportunities to push out those payments, not in all cases, but make sure you reach out to your lien holder and letting them know that, you know, can I do something, because you're not generating that income, and so it really is a catch-22. But I had someone say to me, "Oh, those landlords are terrible," and I said, "Well, wait a second. You actually have the bank that is now trying to get their money out of them, so they're not generating the income from you." So there are two sides of every story, and I think that we need to remain calm. This is part of the HERO program, and I think you probably all saw that. But remaining calm during all of this is really important, and then also really thinking through all of the different parts of it. It's not one thing from COVID. There are so many things that are happening because of it that we all need to keep in mind.
Thanks, Mayor. Other questions? Okay.
No burning question.
This is a great opportunity to have the mayor here if you have any questions. I guess, I'll ask a question, just because we focus so much on, obviously from a chamber standpoint, with getting our small businesses open, and that's what we're focused on. But I know, just like from I've been really good since I've been working majority of the time remotely, of taking my morning walks, and just as far as like parks and things like that, what's the thought process, or what's the timeline about as far as opening some more of that, whether it be the parking lot? Because I know some of the parks are open for walking and everything else, but the parking lots are still closed. So is there any type of update on that, Mayor?
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about that. So when the county came up with the health orders initially, they did not require the cities to close all of our parks. We never did. They required us to close down the parking lots, and then also any park that you were not able to maintain social distancing. So what we did is we closed the parking lots as were required. And then we also closed Double Peak Park, Sunset Park, and Lakeview Park. And the reason that those three parks were closed was due to the fact that we were unable to keep too many people from coming, because as other cities jumped the gun and they went and closed all of their parks, what that did is they then drove people to San Marcos. So we never really went out and said, every single one of our parks is still open, because we were concerned, and we did notice that in those three parks that people were coming from outside of the city and using the parks, even though you're not supposed to technically come from outside of the city. And that was one of the things that I really was a little bit upset about, because all of the mayors, we all spoke, we all said we're going to stay on the same page. And then we had San Diego just say, we're closing all the parks to start with. And then it kind of was a domino effect because people were saying, oh gosh, now my parks are overrun. And so, and a lot of that was with the beaches too. But we never closed all of our parks. So now the requirement is you can start to open them back up fully. However, you have to have a monitor. So having someone there the entire time that they're open is very difficult. I'll tell you right now. So we are going to continue monitoring. I would say the best and most recent updated information will be found on our website because we are working 24/7 to keep that, our COVID-19 response page. And I have to give a shout out to Tess and Robin. They have done a great job keeping that updated. But that's where you'll have the most recent information. We're looking at what can we do to open things up more. The problem is when you open up, for instance, tennis courts or pickleball, you have to have a person monitoring sitting there all day. And so unless the county actually changes their stand on that health order, for us to, and some cities, I'm going to tell you, are going to say, well, we're going to just do that because they've had all of their parks closed for such a long time that they're trying to do a little bit more. We will be following the law of the health order. And so we are not able to do that at this point in time. But if you go to our website on a regular basis, anytime you want to go to a park, we will have the most updated information. And what we're doing is we are noting the closures. And then also we're updating our signage so that it will be the most up to date as well. And again, this is an ever evolving situation. And I think if the county sees that there is an increase in cases, a spike, and this is not going to be a popular conversation either, but we're having an issue with the border because we are still allowing essential business workers to move freely back and forth across the border. We're having a problem in Mexico, Tijuana especially. They have a lot of cases. They don't have any ability to have the social distancing. They've been doing business as usual for a very long time. And so unfortunately, there is an issue down there. And if you look at the numbers within our county, specifically anything that is close to the border, where we have workers that are coming back and forth on a regular basis, those numbers are much higher than they are throughout the rest of the county. So I know it's not going to be popular, but when we have, in my opinion, we should have the border that any one that is a U.S. citizen that wants to come across the border be quarantined for 2 weeks. I know there is some discussion about it. I don't know what the result is going to be. In my opinion, that would be the most prudent situation, because then that's what we were requiring people to do when they were coming off of a cruise ship. I don't see that it's any different. And then also, if you're coming from an outbreak area, there should be a quarantine, in my opinion. From a cruise ship or from Mexico, that needs to happen. I'd also like us to see, us as a county use some of the monies that we have secured for the county COVID response, being that they're so limited, and secure housing, a hotel room or whatnot for those essential workers to keep them in the United States, in San Diego County, where we know that we have flattened the curve. We really, I think, in my opinion, that would be the most equitable thing to do, to keep them here and to keep them safe, as well as our citizens too, because we don't want to make anyone sick unnecessarily. We want people to be safe first and foremost. And I think that would be the best way to keep people safe.
Okay, thank you. I have a question from Marianne Hoover. Marianne, I've unmuted your mic if you'd like to ask your question.
Oh, I was wondering how the timeline is going to be affected for the general plan. Has that been all pushed out because of COVID?
Well, we are definitely putting a pause button on that. Unfortunately, and there are many discussions that have been going on about the general plan, and then all of the different things that we have been working on. This is a crazy time right now, and the recovery, I think, is going to be just as important as our response. Our response has been very measured. We've had, you know, a lot of things to deal with. And again, it's ever evolving. And so every day you're thinking, okay, what is the governor going to do today? And okay, what is the county health officer going to do today? I believe that we are going to be like this for at least a month or two of the ever evolving rules and regulations. I'm sorry to say that, but I do probably think that it's going to happen like that. So our staff is going to be very flexible and using a lot of time on that. You know, and one thing that I would, and I think I did not mention this, you know, we've been working, and I know Tess, thank you very much. She's been working very hard, and our staff has been working very hard on getting those loans funded for our business sustainability program. To date, we have 118 businesses that we have funded those short-term loans up to $50,000. And that's because, you know, I mean, it's taken a lot of time and effort, but that was something that we did that really, I think, was notable, like I had mentioned earlier. And we funded about 2.9 million out of the 3 million, so we're almost at capacity. I think we're going to be spending some time on that once we actually no longer have our state of emergency, to start the clock ticking on those, which is 120 days before payments need to start at the end of our response. I think a lot is going to be very flexible. The general plan, yes, it's important. However, I don't think that is going to be our greatest need probably for a while, and we have pushed it off. We are going to be picking up at some point in time. I just am not quite sure when that will be. And that would be probably for a lot of our initiatives that we've started recently. And, you know, the consumer choice energy discussion is one of the things where, you know, there's all this information coming out. That's probably not going to look like it's economically feasible for most cities to do that, because it's not going to be a benefit to our communities due to what's happening with the pricing. I mean, everything is changing. Things that we thought were happening and were a path are no longer the path, as far as, you know, initiatives and all of that. I mean, look at the plastic bag ban. Now they're telling us, no, don't use those. You can't bring them into the store. So I think a lot of things are going to change over the next, gosh, it could be up to a year that things are changing and we're learning. And that's, you know, that's one of the things that I mentioned a little bit earlier. We are changing, finding out new things. And, you know, I had mentioned this to Rick a little bit earlier, but I don't think we were on the public call yet. And that is that with folks not driving right now, and people are telecommuting, there are a lot of people that will be able to do that on a fairly regular basis. And one of the things that I had mentioned to our director at Sandag, when we're talking about all of the things that are happening within our communities, I'm seeing that a lot of people have found that we can actually utilize webinars and that sort of thing. And maybe we could do that, and maybe we can get our employers to say, yes, I'll commit to doing that 1 or 2, 3, possibly 3 times a month, and how that will change our traffic. And so I think, you know, looking at the big picture and, you know, ways that we can evolve through this and change and use these challenges to bring, you know, new innovation, I think that's going to be really important. And he said that they were actually looking at that and figuring out ways to figure that into the equation, so that when we do update our transportation plan, we can figure that in, because we get our businesses like yourselves to commit to something like that. And it's not going to work for everyone. I understand that. I'm not making a blanket. I don't believe in blanket policies, you know, for everyone. But I do believe that some businesses that actually may work. And so, you know, your commitment to that would definitely, if you can use that and apply that to your businesses, we would sure love to hear from you. And if you could reach out to me, I'll make sure I get that information to Sandag. But I think, again, taking the time, figuring out what's our new path is, because we're definitely on a new path.
Okay. Got a question from Kimmy Wall. And Kimmy, let me see if I can, I don't know if you have a microphone.
Kimmy, I know Kimmy. She's at NCTD.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. She's concerned about the, I'm going to ask a question for you, Kimmy. I know we already addressed this a little bit earlier, but her question was, I received multiple emails from other local chambers requesting that we send emails to the governor asking him to allow businesses to open sooner, as 0 deaths and under 25 cases per day for a 14-day period is not a reasonable standard. Kimmy says this seems terribly irresponsible since even 1 death is too many, and we had 15 deaths in the county just yesterday. What are you or the chamber's thoughts on this? And I know we've already talked about this a little bit, but Mayor Jones, if you want to address that.
What 1 death is too many. I agree with you. However, we are currently in a crisis of many things. We're in a crisis of health, but we're also in a crisis of not being able to put food on our tables. And so I think it's a balance. And opening up businesses in a safe manner, I am not suggesting or proposing or advocating for businesses to open as usual. That is not a reasonable or responsible stand on this. And so, Kimmy, my opinion is that if Walmart, Target, and Costco can be open in a safe manner, then we should be able to open more businesses so that we are giving people the ability to put food on their table and to prosper and to make it through this. Every day that our businesses are closed and shut is a day that they are closer to extinction. And I hate to put it in terms like that, but that's the truth. And every day, I mean, we know, all of us know, we have put so much into our businesses, so much time, so much effort. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this either. When I am on web calls with folks that own businesses, or I am socially distancing because I've gone to pick up food or whatnot from their business, they're struggling. They're struggling, the despair in their faces, and it's not about money, it's about survival. This no longer is a either or, it's a both, and both in a safe manner. And so how do we do that? We've got to take small steps forward. And if we realize that it's not working, then we need to evolve and change and figure out something else. But we cannot stay in a holding pattern forever. There will not be any money to fund anything, not disability, not unemployment, not anything. And so the country cannot just print more money and we can get out of this. It doesn't work like that. It's all of us. And you know, if you don't have business sectors that are doing certain things that are becoming non-essential, what happens to our lives? I had my mother. God, I love her, but she said to me on Mother's Day, she's 76. She said to me, Rebecca, I need to get back out and actually live, because today I'm no longer living. And I said, Mom, we want you to be safe. You're in a higher risk age range. And she said, I know, but we've got to do this. And I'm okay with being safe. And I know there are people out on the other side that are saying, go out without a mask, just go back and open up your business. I will never, ever promote that. However, I will promote prosperity, and I will promote people doing things in a safe manner, because that's what I believe. I believe it's not stay home forever until the virus passes, because that will not happen. We still have the flu. We still have the flu after all of these years. And the flu shot only works for a certain small percentage. And I do believe that as of, I believe it was April 6th, there had been 105 flu deaths in our county from the plain flu, not COVID-19, but the plain flu. And so these are numbers that I am constantly monitoring and being aware of, because I think that helps me make better decisions in what I believe. And so I implore people, go to websites that are credible, the CDC, the county health websites. Get educated for yourself. And that was part of the HERO program too, the E in HERO. Educate yourself and make sure that you're getting all of the true information. Are people going to get sick from the flu? Yes. Are they going to get sick from COVID? Yes. Are they going to get sick from other diseases? Yes. There's no way to mitigate 100%. And one other thing that I'd like to mention, I had someone call me last week telling me that I wanted people to die, which is 100% untrue. And she said to me, I think that no more businesses should be open. And I said, are you going to a restaurant and getting food to go? And she said, yes. And I said, do you believe that that is a zero risk? Because it's not. And I'm not saying anything against that. I go to businesses and pick up food because I believe that I can't live in a bubble, and it's not living, much like my mother. I wonder where I got that from. But I think, being smart, making choices for your family. And Kimmy, if you do not feel safe going out, then I suggest you stay in, because I would never want to try to force anyone to do something that they shouldn't be doing and feel comfortable doing. And I think there is some responsibility on us as community members, again, back to the responsibility of trying to keep others healthy and then yourself. And that is, using good judgment and following good protocols. I hope that answered your question.
And just from, because Kimmy you did mention from a chamber's perspective too. So just real quick, because I know we're running out of time. So I from our perspective, we're going to do everything we can to fight for small businesses. But with that being said, we're going to do it in a safe way. So I mean, everything that we've put out is, if it's been, if you're, and I think the grocery stores have set a great model, and as far as being able to move so many people through there in a safe way, with everything from social distancing to one-way aisles to the timing to the mask, everything. And so our thought is, just from a chamber's perspective, is that if you can open your business, meet all the safety guidelines that are asked of you, then you should have the opportunity to open your business and get back to work. But as hard as we would fight for small businesses to open, we would fight for those businesses that aren't obeying the rules. We do not support that at all. So we're running out of time. I've got a question from Haley DeRoche. Haley, I'm unmuting you if you'd like to ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. I think first of all, too, thank you for hosting this, and it's awesome to just put faces to names and connect this way. And I think just for you, Rebecca, thank you for everything that you're doing. I know you can't please everyone, and you do it gracefully and with a smile. And so thank you for loving our city and serving our city and working tirelessly, and your whole team. That extends to your whole team. I know you guys do more than we can understand and see. So thank you for that. And really my question is just how we can support you and your staff in this season. It may not be something that you can answer right now, but if ideas come up of ways that we can volunteer or just be a support system for you in this time. You mentioned having monitors at the different locations. I'm like, we can rally a team of 100 people and do that. Just things like that. I don't know if it would be a necessarily volunteer position, but I think it's just a time of innovation and being creative and coming together as a community, which is what this group is for, and being unified. So I just want to throw that out, that I can only speak for myself, but we're here to support you guys and what you're doing for our city, and move together through this season, because it's not just top down. Everything that we're doing, yes, we're moving and doing safety protocols and following those things as we're being instructed, but there's other ways. Keep us posted.
Well, thank you for saying that. And yes, city staff has worked so hard. They've actually, and I do think they're great and wonderful, but they've actually surprised me too, how they've rallied. And as all of these challenges are, coming up day by day, sometimes hour by hour, I think it's important to remember a couple of things. And one would be, we've got to figure out how to help one another, as far as even businesses. And there have been a couple of businesses that have said, I've come up with this great idea. And I said, great, share it with other businesses that are like yours, because when you put these plans together, I think that is part of the innovation of having great minds come together. And I really hope, like, for instance, our salons are one of our most hard hit areas. Having our salons come together, there was a business owner that reached out to me that said, hey, I talked to all of these other businesses within the city that are over off of Grant. And I said, great, can you expand that group to come up with the best possible plan that you can to keep people the safest? Because here's the truth, you know, and this came up, I think, by Will's question. People are not going to go back to businesses that they do not feel safe in. If they see people that are not following safety protocols, they're not going back. There is a part of self-policing, and I don't mean self-policing as in you policing yourself, but I'm talking about maybe community policing, of people going to businesses and saying, yeah, heck, I don't like what they're doing there. I'm not going back. Do you think they're not going to tell their friends? Of course they will. So I think the responsibility falls on us a little bit, but having, you know, these people coming together and coming up with their plans, I think, is one thing. Also, I beg each one of you, if you know someone that cannot get out of the house because they have a compromised immune system and they don't have a family support system, please reach out to them, try to talk to them, try to encourage them. This is a time of encouragement where we all need to do it. And I can tell you, I need plenty of encouragement too. For every single person that tells me, thank you, I love what you're doing, yeah, well, it's probably not a 1-to-1 ratio. Most people are very happy with the communication that's happening with the city. But I have to tell you, there are people that want someone to blame. There is no blame here in this situation. We've got to figure out how to have a balance of businesses open, but we've got to keep people safe. And there is not one person that has all of the answers. And thank you, Rick, for saying that in the beginning. I don't have all the answers because guess what? I'm like you. I'm a person. I'm a person that is perfectly imperfect. I always say that about myself. And it's true. None of us is perfect. None of us has all of the answers. And you know what? Even the governor, I know his job is tremendously stressful and he's trying to do the best he can. I just think, you know, some of the policies that are for the entire state don't always work, and they work better at a regional level. And that's the only situation that I have with his leadership. But I think that, you know, for us to make sure we are encouraging one another, make sure we're coming up with plans that make sense and really helping others work on their plans too. But encouraging other business owners and, you know, community members, I think, is an important part of all of that. So I hope that answers your question. And we will definitely, you know, we're coming up with ideas. And I know Tess is here on this call, so she'll be taking notes too. I think, you know, yes, we will be innovating all the way through this for however long it takes. City staff is starting to come back next week in a greater number. So we'll be definitely monitoring what's happening. And I'm so grateful for all of you, you know, being part of the community, and we're committed to you. I want you to know that and believe that.
Thanks, Mayor Jones. I've got, if we can do one more question and then one more comment too. I just wanted to mention that Kimmy Wall responded. Thank you for your response, smiley face. So it's she put in the chat room. And then we've got one question, and I'm curious about this too, because this is from Will Rivera. Is there a mandate that people over 60 cannot come back to work, whether our city or the county? I'm asking this from Will Rivera, but I've got an over 60-year-old that's chomping at the bit to get back in our office. So
I'm not aware of a mandate for that yet, but again, it constantly is evolving. So on the latest, I know there were some tweaks in the latest health order. I haven't seen that specifically, or if I did, I can definitely check into that. And if it does change, I'll put that on my list of things that I need to follow up on. I've actually asked city staff to, every single time there is the governor does his daily updates, if there are significant changes, to let us know, because quite frankly, you guys, it's so hard to keep everything straight. because things have changed on numerous times. If it were up to me, I would say that anyone that is definitely over 70 should not be going out. They should be quarantined into their home. And again, back to us as community members, if we know someone like that, please reach out to them and help them with their needs. And you know what? If you're at Costco and you can pick up bleach and you don't need all 3 of the bleaches and someone else needs a bleach, you know, things like that, that don't take a lot of time and effort. And oh, I wanted to mention Union Co-work had that food drive last week. Thank you for everyone that showed up to that and came out. My Sandag meeting went a little bit late, so I wasn't able to get there until a little bit later, but I did get by there on the way to Big Frog as they were having their grand opening. So, and I dropped off my 3 bags of stuff to the food drive. You know, this is a time for us to shine and come together, help one another, and give back. But again, back to the, you know, to the health orders and the evolution, I believe that most people should stay home if they are over 70, and they shouldn't go out until, you know, we have a greater knowledge that we have this under control. I don't think it will be beat. I think we will have it under control at some point. I could be wrong, though. I'm not a doctor. And then also anyone with an underlying health condition, I would like to see that nobody goes out and does that. Again, back to us as a city, we don't have a health officer, so we will be following the county health officer direction.
Thanks, Mayor Jones. We're out of time. I just thanks so much for taking time today to meet with us, and you've always been so so gracious with your time, and I'm sure we can do something like this again in the very near future. Thanks to everybody who's attended today's meeting. It's great to see all of you here, and please, I mean, we are here for you now more than ever. You know, this crisis is affecting everybody, but it's affecting everybody differently. Everybody's business is unique. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Give me a call. You know, I'm happy to any way we can help. Just we've got the COVID resource page, but most importantly, we're here to help you and your business when you need help the most. So thanks for all the support and confidence you continue to have in our organization. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. So thank you.
Bye. Thank you.